I'm here with flight instructor Kurt Wilbur at Pureflight Aviation, and today is my first lesson in the Cabri G2. So, Kurt, what are we going to do today?
So today what we'll do is kind of just get you in, get you comfortable with the controls, kind of feel what they do. We'll kind of take off, taxi out of here, go maybe 4 miles down to the other airport to kind of get better wind. Then we'll just do some traffic patterns and kind of get a feel for the controls and maybe a little hovering. Then we'll come back.
Sounds great. I'm excited.
Me too.
Last December, I checked off another item on my bucket list, learning to fly a helicopter. I signed up for the commercial rotorcraft add-on rating at Pureflight Aviation Training at Chehalem Airpark in Oregon. Pureflight teaches in the French Guimbal Cabri G2. I had seen the Cabri at Heli Expo over the years and thought it looked like an interesting machine. It shares the clockwise rotor blade rotation of typical European helicopters and the finestron shrouded tail rotor of some Airbus helicopter designs. This convinced me that the Cabri would be a good introduction to eventually flying larger helicopters. My instructor, Curtis Wilbur, got me started right away with liftoffs and hovering and airport operations. Here I am lifting off in the Guimbal Cabri G2 facing the Pureflight ramp, taking it slowly as I hover taxi to the edge of the runway and check for traffic. Then I gently pull the collective up to add more power while ever so slowly moving the cyclic forward to pick up speed and stepping on the pedals to keep the nose straight. Once above 40 knots, I can start climbing, and I'm looking for 50 knots on the climb out to 700 feet or 500 feet above ground level. This is a typical traffic pattern for runway 25 at Chehalem. Turn downwind level at 700 feet, speed at 80 knots, check the nose trim to make sure it's straight. Past the end of the runway, I reduce power by lowering the collective a little, turn on base leg perpendicular to the runway, then turn final to line up with the runway. And here comes the first challenge, reducing speed while descending with the goal being 0 speed and hover over the target landing spot. The helicopter tries to turn left as I add power for the hover, so I have to counter that with right cyclic and keep the nose straight with the pedals. And then after the hover I take off again and back around again. Clearly here you can see I need more work on staying straight. This time, instead of staying at Chehalem, we did a short cross-country to nearby Sportsman Airpark. Here we did some more takeoffs and landing approaches. And then a touchdown on a new airport. A little rough, not too bad. Lifting off again, don't hit the gas pumps. It's hot today, so we're flying with the doors off. Taking off again. And we're back at Sportsman Airpark for more traffic pattern work. Heading back to Chehalem. And this time, a longer approach so we can go park at the B hangar. Watch out for the tree. I'm touching down on runway 25 at Chehalem. It's getting a little smoother. Curtis demonstrates an auto rotation to a hover. Next time it'll be my turn. Auto rotations are what you do if the engine quits and you have to sort of glide down to a landing. The pull-up at the bottom of the auto rotation is pretty dramatic, and something that I found hard to get used to as a longtime fixed-wing pilot. Curtis next demonstrates a quick stop, which means gaining speed to about 40 knots, up to 40 feet, then slowing down quickly and recovering by pulling up the nose with the cyclic while reducing power by lowering the collective. It all happens pretty fast. We're going to do a fun exercise, flying around the traffic cone. The idea is to try to keep the same distance around the cone. Oops, I knocked it over. Today, Curtis is demonstrating a hover auto, where you cut the power just above the ground and try to touch down gently while keeping the nose straight. Needless to say, his was perfect. Here I'm flying a steeper approach, so I need to keep slowing down and not develop too high a rate of descent. If the rate of descent is too high, you might not be able to stop it before it hits the ground really hard.
Coming back. There we go. Now we're at 20. You can start adding some collective. There we go. We got 0 airspeed. Push forward a little bit, and there we go.
Down 6 Pop Alpha.
Now it's time for more cone exercises, then I'll land on the grass. Today's lesson started out with a shallow approach and a touchdown on Chehalem's runway 25. And then a steeper approach to the runway. Another quick stop, but this time we're a bit higher than the typical 40 feet for this maneuver. And another quick stop, this time at a more appropriate altitude. It's time to practice auto rotations again, and here's what it looks like. Inside the cockpit, I move the collective full down, bring the cyclic back to adjust the airspeed to 50 knots, and keep the air flowing through the rotor system, twist the throttle to idle. Then as I aim for the spot on the ground, I bring the power back up until the governor takes over, and at about 80 to 100 feet above the ground, I start to flare or pull the helicopter nose up, kind of like in a quick stop. And once the helicopter slows down, I push the nose forward to a level attitude in preparation for a run-on landing, but then I add collective to stop the descent so we don't actually touch the ground. Another practice auto rotation. I do need to keep the helicopter straighter during the recovery at the end. After a bunch of auto rotations, I did an approach to the north grass area and touched down on the grass. This was good practice for avoiding obstacles and coming in slowly and in complete control to the spot where I wanted to land. Off we go for some practice at the Willamette River with a downwind departure from Chehalem Airpark. Now comes the fun part, landing on a sandbar. First, we have to do some surveillance circles to evaluate the landing spot and make sure there are no risks, such as people, power lines, or stuff on the ground that could get picked up by the rotor system. Curtis demonstrated a power check, slowing down to 30 knots, then adding power and getting into a high hover and checking how much power we needed. This is to make sure we have enough power to take off from the sandbar.
Okay, just want to stay above these bushes.
Yeah, because that was the trash I was...
Oh, I see it.
Which were high enough that and it looks like it's heavy trash. From the air, I couldn't really tell.
Okay, sloped a little bit to the right, looks like.
Yep.
A little bit of dust here. Power's good. And slide it down easy.
Very nice. My side will come down.
Oop.
Oh, no
Little
worries.
hard.
And it's soft, so now here's a good point, is you can probably see the skids probably buried in there.
Yep, it is.
Yep, mine is too, which will be fine. It looks soft. We just have to be mindful coming up. We want to come up a little more consistent, or...
Slowly.
Yeah, slowly.
Okay.
And just feel it out, because we don't want it to stick.
Now we're lifting off from the sandbar and heading downriver to find another spot. I did another surveillance sweep for the second sandbar landing. This time the touchdown was on some rocks instead of sand.
And this one, we can sit down if you want, but just know these are bigger rocks, so these are more likely to be. We want less drift. Good. No, good correction with the pedals too.
On the pickup, I used 100% power this time for a vertical takeoff.
Very nice on the pickup, and just keep going straight in. And just kind of hold this. We don't need to get too much more speed.
And then we finished the lesson with some more auto rotations.
We can enter auto in 3, 2, 1. So down collective all the way.
Collective.
All the way after 50 and roll it off.
And roll it off.
Good. And then you can roll it back on.
And roll back.
Good. And now we can cushion a little bit. Keep it at 50. Cushion a little collective. There we go. And then a little aft. Where, oh, I guess we bled off a lot of speed.
And another auto rotation.
Yeah. Enter the auto in 3, 2, 1. Down collective all the way.
Down.
Yeah, aft.
Back. Twist.
Good, it's nice off. Now I can roll it back on.
Back.
And now we're back outside. Nice 50 knot attitude, very nice.
Little cushion.
Very nice. Now we're going to start that flare, so a little flare, more aggressive, and then forward and pull some power.
Curtis demonstrated another auto rotation to show me that I need to push the collective down a little faster when entering the auto rotation.
3, 2, 1, so down collective, pretty abrupt. Pedals are keeping us straight, and I rolled off. So now I'm just letting it settle. We're getting a higher rotor, so I just cushion a little collective. Rolling it back on. Governor takes it, which is good. Keeping us over the runway. Cushioning just a little. And now we're at the trees, so I'm going to start a nice flare. Oh, we'll end up a little bit, which is fine. Now push forward and expect that we're going to get that torque. Yeah, which we will.
Chehalem traffic 949 Kilo Echo. Cross the downwind 07.
So not bad, but it even dropped on me right there as well.
Yeah.
So you can take controls.
Okay, I've got the controls.
You have controls.
Next, Curtis demonstrated a 180-degree auto rotation where we climbed to 1,000 feet instead of the usual 700 feet. Then after lowering the collective, turn 180 degrees back toward the runway.
So once I get parallel or perpendicular to the windsock, so entering 180 and 3, 2, 1, so down collective, aft cyclic, rolling off.
Liner traffic 734, can inform left crosswind runway 02, line
And I want to start rolling on. Cushion collective a little bit in the turn. When the nose comes down, it feels a little unnatural with the nose coming down, but that's kind of ours at 50 knots.
Liner traffic 4, can inform left downwind runway 02.
And now it's just straight in again, so treetop, we'll start our flare. Little balloon, so I'll wait. Flare, and push, and pull. not too bad. Right at the windsock.
Now it was my turn to try the 180-degree auto rotation.
Now it's 3, 2, 1, down collective.
Down collective.
Yep, and roll it off.
Back.
Not too much back.
Roll it off.
Yep, it's off. And now roll it back on.
Roll back on.
And now start your turn.
Turn.
Yep, just look at your spot and just start your turn. Let the nose come down. And I'm gonna help you with the nose come down. Yeah, keep looking at your spot. There we go. Now we're over the runway. We're at 50 knots. Little.
Just like before.
Yep. Just cushion just a little bit collective. There we go. Now we start the flare. Yeah, a little more. And forward. And very nice. We didn't bleed off our speed, but that's fine. That was the first 180. Very nice.
Not bad for the first time. Things happen pretty fast during auto rotations, and the rate of descent feels pretty steep, which it is, nearly 2,000 feet per minute. And my turn again.
There's our mark. 3, 2, 1.
All the way.
Back.
Yeah, roll it off.
Okay. Rolling off.
Roll it back on. Start that turn.
Okay, starting the turn. Looking for my spot.
Yeah, and get a nice steep turn. Let the nose come down. Everything is going good. Everything's good back here.
Okay, I see my spot. I'm looking for it.
Yeah, I'm just a little up on the collective. Very nice.
There we go. Okay. Everything looks good. Okay,
Little
then
flare.
we flare.
And
Nose
forward, pull. Very nice.
And get ready.
Yeah, we just expect that we're gonna get that kind of yaw.
Yeah.
But no, that was a real good one.
It worked out pretty well this time. With Curtis holding the pedals in a fixed position, I practiced flying a shallow approach and using the collective to manage the direction the nose points when the pedals are stuck. Pulling up on the collective makes the nose turn left, and down will twist us to the right. This demonstrates that it's still possible to control yaw when you have stuck pedals.
So it's a little weird, but it's not, it's kind of just piecing the puzzle together.
Yeah.
I can feel the pressure of your feet on the
I know. I keep trying to like, come on, straighten out.
And it's even more unsettling to take your feet off of it, but you'll notice we'll keep the speed, but the more down you go on collective, the more we're going to start to twist.
Yeah.
I left out with 36 skydive,
But at the same time, once you kind of get lower to the ground and pull and add power, it's going to swing us right back out.
Yeah, I can feel that. Yep. So, oh, I see. Yeah, there we
So
go.
add some power,
Yeah, look at that.
and you add a little more power and it'll straighten us out. So if you bleed it back speed, add some power, and it'll straighten us out. And just like that. So yeah, you have the pedals now.
Yep.
I just wanted to demonstrate like how you can,
Yeah,
how if something got stuck, you can still control it, you just have to
interesting.
control the yaw with the
You can see really subtle changes when you move the collective.
Curtis demonstrated a run-on landing, which you need to do if you're power limited or with stuck pedals. You have to be careful not to flare the nose up too high, and you use the collective to control speed. He comes in fairly shallow and bleeds off some speed and slows to 20 to 30 knots, then bleeds off more speed, and as we're touching down is careful not to lower the collective too much.
So I'm just forward, use the pedals to keep us lined up, and then I go down with the collective more. If I drop it, we grab pretty hard.
Oh, you can smell it.
It's time again for hover autos, where we cut the power in a hover and immediately land, but try to cushion the touchdown so it isn't too hard. Curtis demonstrated it first. The hard part is chopping the power without pulling up on the collective, but we also have to step on the left pedal to keep the nose straight and prevent the helicopter from drifting forward or backwards, or to either side.
And then just cushioning as we come down and we plop down. So as you can tell, when I rolled off, it did go up a little. So I even did the same thing. It's never
Almost
perfect.
Unavoidable.
It can be if you do a good one. But yeah, you can tell even that one had a little twist to it. They're not all going to be perfect. We just want to do the best we can.
Hail Mary traffic, Skyhawk 8.
Now it's my turn at the hover auto. I managed to keep it straight this time, but I must have pushed down on the collective because we did hit a little hard and a little backward. This time it was a little better, but I pulled the collective up a bit at the end. At least the helicopter was straight. Much better job cushioning the touchdown this time, although I did use a bit too much left pedal. These things are going to take a little getting used to. Taking off next to the fuel tanks, so be careful. Here's what it looks like when I tried a run-on landing at Sportsman Airpark, which got repaved with a nice smooth runway. It's not too hard on the helicopter, but it does wear out the friction shoes on the skids. Dust flew as Curtis demonstrated, then had me try some slope landings on the edge of the taxiway. This requires a greater amount of precision and is pretty challenging. Here's what a better hover auto looks like, and it was much more cushioned on the touchdown this time. Here's some quick stop practice at Sportsman Airpark. These are some shaky attempts at slope landings, but gusty winds made it unproductive.
Northwest of UBD, 2,500 feet, proceeding.
Does look like it's a little windy, so maybe we'll get on the go.
Today, Curtis introduced me to settling with power, and we practiced two different methods for recovery: the Vichard recovery and the more standard nose-low exit. Basically, this means slowing to zero airspeed at 1,500 feet and getting into a situation where the helicopter is descending, and then adding power makes it continue descending even faster.
There we go. There's that 500. Now it's sinking. It's a little weird. I add power, it gets worse, so then down collective, forward. Some airspeed, pull in the power, and we're out of it. Kind of like a stall recovery.
Yeah, you didn't lose a lot of altitude.
Not too much.
To recover, I pushed down the collective and applied forward cyclic and built up airspeed.
There we go. Add power, and we're out of it. So for a maneuver, for a danger near the ground, it's not the greatest way to do it. It's not like, that's the textbook way. They want you down collective,
Yeah.
and get some airspeed.
So did the Vichard give you less of a loss of altitude?
Yep, so let's turn back around.
With the Vichard recovery, once we're settling and feel the vibrations, it's necessary to apply left cyclic and right power pedal to keep the nose straight while exiting the descending column of air, and then maintain power to prevent losing more altitude. We're practicing a steep but slow descent to the north grass with a more vertical descent this time. Now for a maximum performance takeoff, where I pull 100% power and take off vertically, pretending there's a large tree in front of us. Here's a steep approach where we want to keep power in while descending at a slow rate, but simulating coming in over a tall obstacle. Too high a descent rate could result in settling with power, which is bad close to the ground. More slope practice at Sportsman Airpark on the edge of the taxiway. I'm still having a hard time getting it settled, so I asked Curtis to demonstrate again. He's much more steady than I am.
So what we'll do, we'll hold a hover, and we see like 84, it's holding 82 there, so it's coming down, so I'm going to let it come down a little bit. Now that I feel that side, That side's down. I think they're both down, actually.
Yeah.
Now it's my turn. Not too bad. It's time for my first night flying lesson. I'm used to flying at night in airplanes, but things are different in a helicopter. Here's what the liftoff and departure looks like. To get a feel for night operations, I did a set down on the runway, then took off again. We flew northeast from Chehalem towards downtown Portland, then north along the Willamette River in preparation to land at the downtown heliport, which is on top of a 6-story building. I'd been there before during the day in other helicopters, but this would be my first time landing there myself. Descending toward the heliport, we crossed 4 bridges, then turned left at the iconic Portland Stag sign and lined up to touch down on the heliport. The plan is to do a maximum performance takeoff with 100% power, then circle back for another landing.
And so I'll just be here with you a little bit. So we'll keep bringing the power in all the way up to 100, nice and easy. Yep, push forward, just nice and easy, a little less power, there we go. We just used what power we had and we just took off like that. And we can descend a little less power. We still have airspeed. Very nice, following it right in. Good, that one was all you.
Awesome.
On the way back, we shot an instrument approach to McMinnville Airport. Curtis again explained the sweep surveillance process for checking out a potential landing spot as we flew over the Willamette River. Sweep stands for check the surface, wing, entry, exit, and problems, such as people, power lines, products on the ground.
Yeah, as you know, FAA loves acronyms.
Yeah.
So I like to keep this as simple as possible. I like to use sweep for our scan for an off airport. So I'll look at the surface. What is it? What are we going to land on? So if we're landing on this island right here, what's the surface? Like mostly grass, but it looks like it's tall grass, so maybe we shouldn't be landing there.
Yep.
But we could put it down on the gravel here. Or the one beyond it looks like it's mostly gravel, so that's good. Next is for the sweep is the winds. We want to know where the wind's coming from, because that's going to lead us to the 2 E's, the entry and the exit.
Yep.
So in this case, the winds are indicating pretty good out of the north. This dust, I can't tell what it's doing yet. We want to find what our winds are.
And below the trees, it's probably not doing much at all.
And that's usually usually below the trees, if it is a crosswind, it's likely nothing, or it's funneling in some capacity through the water.
Right.
And so that guy's here again.
A surface, winds.
Winds, our entry and our exit, which usually the winds are going to dictate. And then P, someone brought up, so problems. What are the problems with the spot? Like whose property is it? Are there power lines nearby?
And then we did another touchdown on an island in the river. And another.
Very nice.
And then a tiny island landing with a good lesson about making sure the skids are properly seated on the surface.
Very nice. 84 will bring us down. You're touching, I'm touching. Another trick for this is if we pull it back up, I'll come on with you. About 50% right here. We hold 50. If we wiggle the pedals a little bit, if we were seated on like bad rocks, we would flop in. Like if you weren't fully seated.
I see what
and
you're
it
saying.
lets you do it more controlled than if we had the power, the collective all the way down and we...
Then you just slide
right,
off
and we plant off. Usually about, 55, we'll do it. You can do a little pedal check on something like this that's a little more uneven.
Makes sense.
On the way back, Curtis flies us over the abandoned Yamhill Locks to show me where I'm going to land during an upcoming flight. It looks intimidating.
Yeah, just see what it feels like with airspeed, knowing that I'm not going to land there, but treating it like I am.
For 2-2, we got the...
Because I know we can fit, and I know we can land there.
And we'll stay clear.
We do it all the time. Yeah, obviously this is fast. The winds feel fine. Is that a dog or a person swimming?
Traffic 695-366 Mike, turning left, crosswind runway 35.
The dog.
Alright, so maybe we're not going to land there if there's people hanging out there. But we will at some point in this.
We flew over to Sportsman Airpark for takeoff and landing practice and a steep approach with a slow descent. And then time for some more dancing around the traffic cone back at Chehalem. I logged some more nighttime with a flight to Boeing Field in Seattle. And after taking off at about midnight, we flew over downtown Seattle, then did a couple of circuits around the Space Needle. Here we are taking off from the B hangar for some more practice. It's just a beautiful day to be flying in Oregon. Today was the most fun ever. I got to land on the Yamhill Locks. It sure looked like we didn't have enough clearance from the trees, but it turned out fine. The moss-encrusted locks looked slippery, but felt solid once we touched down. Here we are doing some more cone work. Our final lessons included some prep work for the upcoming check ride, including more of the dreaded hover autos. But with the help of my excellent instructor Curtis, I successfully passed the check ride for my commercial rotorcraft add-on. In retrospect, I'm very happy that I spent the money and took the time to get my commercial ticket. It has opened many doors for new flying adventures and brings me closer to the amazing people who operate these incredible machines.